Now, today's class, we are going to study the next important one, and this is the most important for all the coming years. That is what the concept called as valency. So, till now, we studied what is valence cell and as well as valence electrons. Now, in our today's class, we are going to see what is valency. Now, first of all, let me know. Once again, let me recall. What do you mean by valence cell? Just everybody. What do you mean by valence cell? Everyone, respond.
Outermost
The
shells.
outermost shell of atom. We used to call it as what we used to call the outermost.
Val
Yeah, the outermost shell of an atom we used to call as valence cell. Now, same way, what do you mean by valence electrons? Anyone?
So total number of electrons
Yes.
present in
Total
valence.
number of electrons. Total number of electrons present in where? Present
Valence shell.
Valence shells.
cell. Valence cell is called, what is to call? Is called
Valence shell.
valence electrons. So that is what we all know. Yes or no? Now, let us comes to the today's concept. That is what we can say valency. So this is not the new thing for us, which we are studying from the chapter 3. So chapter 3 we have written by using crisscross method. We have written the so many chemical formulas. Do you all remember that? Everybody? Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes. So that is what exactly here valency. So what do you mean by valency? It's a simple thing. It's like the maximum capacity, or we will say the combining capacity of an element is only called as its valency. So what do you mean by that? Let us understand it. So we all knows that any chemical reaction, who is involving in the chemical reaction? Everybody? Who is involving in the chemical reaction? Atoms are not involving in the chemical reaction. Some other is involving. Who is that?
Electrons here.
Electrons. So remember, only electrons are involving in any chemical reaction. Now, these electrons, we all knows, we are making the substances into metals and as well as non-metals. Now, can you tell me these electrons will be showing the reaction in two ways? Anybody can tell what is that ways? One is by gaining or losing. Second one is by sharing. Based upon that, we form two kinds of compounds. Can anybody tell me what is that compound's name is called as?
Ionic compound, covalent compound.
Yes, ionic compounds, and another one is called as covalent compounds. So remember, all of you, what do you mean by valency means? The same thing. The number of electrons either gained or lost. So this will happen in where? In formation of which one? Ionic compounds. Means either donating or receiving should be takes place. And covalent compounds, what will takes place, guys? Covalent compounds only by what? Only by respond. Only by
Sharing.
sharing of electrons. So that is what you have to remember. Here, no donation and no receiving. Only by sharing. So this sharing also, and as well as gaining or loss also, is it unlimited or is there is a limit for every atom? That is what I wanted. Anyone? Yes, please. Is it they can lose all the electrons or they can gain all the electrons, or there is a limit for every atom? Everybody.
So there is a limit, sir.
There is a limit. Understanding? So that is what you have to remember. So the maximum number of electrons either gained or lost or sharing the during chemical bond formation is only called as valency of the element. Do you understand it? So suppose some atom can donate or lost maximum 1 electron, so that its valency is what? What is its valency? Its valency is 1. If it will donate 2 electrons, valency is 2. If it will donate 3 electrons, valency is 3. Like that, their maximum capacity to donate the electrons or to lose the electrons or to gain the electrons or to share the electrons is only called as, what we used to call, everyone? We used to call as valency. Understanding? So when we are writing its valencies, you will understand. So now let us write the definition first. All of you write the definition. The combining capacity of an element is called its valency. Okay? Or if you feel difficulty, actually this is the simplest definition which you can go with in your in exam also. Or you can write the number of electrons. This is the little scientific definition. The number of electrons gained, lost, or shared during when, guys? During when? Nobody.
Reaction.
During reaction. That is what? Chemical reaction. During chemical bond formation. During chemical bond formation is called valency of the element. All of you write it. Are you clear? Yes, please. Now, this valency only will decide how fast or how slow the metal or element or a non-metal, whatever it is, a metal or non-metal is react. So based upon this valency, I can say a given element is how fast it is reacting or how slow it is reacting. So that is why I can say, what is the use of valency? The valency will decides the reactivity of the metal. Means either it is a fastly reacting, more reactive element or less reactive element. I can come to know with the help of this valency. So how it is when we are practicing, you will understand. So all of you write the valency of an element will come to know what, guys? Valency of the element will give you what? Everybody will decides what it will decide, sorry. It will decides the reactivity of the element. So means high or low, it will react. It is either high reactive element or low reactive element, you will understand. Reactivity of the element. So that is what you have to remember. So let us make, so as we all knows that, if you have taken, for example, water formation. So you can see that one water formation. So we all people knows what is the formula of water, all of you? What is the formula of water? Yes, please. Nobody knows.
H2O, sir.
H2O.
sir.
Understanding? We all knows water formula is H2O. Means one oxygen maximum it can react with how many hydrogens? It can react with the 2 hydrogen atoms. Understanding? So then oxygen valency is 2. What is the capacity or what is the valency of oxygen? Everybody, what is the valency of oxygen? Only 2, because it can form a 2 single bond. Actually, I don't want to say single bonds and all. So one atom of oxygen combined with 2 atoms of hydrogen. So that is why I can say the valency of oxygen is 2. Suppose if I'll make third hydrogen, is it possible to combine with oxygen? Anybody? Is it
No, sir.
possible? No. So that is why the maximum capacity of oxygen to react with the hydrogen, how many it can? Everybody. One atom of
2,
the
sir.
oxygen will react with the 2 atoms of hydrogen. So I will say the number of hydrogen atoms that can be combined with the 1 atom of oxygen is how many, guys? 2. So that is what the maximum capacity of oxygen. So I can say oxygen valency is 2. So let us take next example, which we studied so many times. So it will be better to understand. Now we all know, let me find valency of aluminum. What is the symbol of aluminum? Everybody?
Al.
Al in Al2O3. Can you tell me? Aluminium oxide. What is this called as? Everyone. Aluminium oxide. So now tell me, what is the valency of aluminum in this aluminium oxide? Who will say first?
3, sir.
Yes? 3. How you are saying 3? You can stick it here. In this molecule, if I consider one molecule of aluminum oxide, you can notice it. Understand? You can see how many oxygen atoms? 3 oxygen atoms combining with the how many aluminum atoms? Anybody? Yes, please. Respond. 3 oxygen atoms combined with the how many aluminum atoms? All of you.
1 minute.
Combined with
Aluminum.
2 aluminum atoms. Is it right or wrong? Everybody? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
So means in the sense of the number of oxygen atoms combined with one aluminum atom. Can you tell me? Anybody? Everybody, I want to know. Suppose see, 2 aluminum atoms is reacting with 3 oxygen atom. Okay, oxygen atoms. Now I want what is the number of oxygen atoms for one aluminum atom? Anybody? One aluminum atom. 2 aluminum means 3 oxygen. Hari, I need only for one aluminum atom. So then how many?
3/2.
3 by 2 oxygen atoms. Is it right or wrong? Everyone?
Yes.
Mitakshri?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So now you can see, as we all know, the valency is twice the number of oxygen atoms combining with one atom of an element. So if you have taken valency of aluminum, all of you observe very carefully. Aluminum, if you have taken, so aluminum valency, we all people knows. What is aluminum valency?
3, sir.
Of aluminum. So which is equals to, if you'll notice it, here I want to state one point. That point, if you write after that, you will write. Right. The valency is twice the number of oxygen atoms. The valency is twice the number of oxygen atoms combining with one atom of an element. Combining with one atom of an element. The valency is twice the number of oxygen atoms, combining with one atom of an element. One atom of an element. So totally one aluminum atom, 3 by 2 oxygens. But totally how many aluminum atoms we have? How many aluminum atoms? Everybody?
2.
2 aluminum atoms. So one atom is 3 by 2. One chocolate is cost is 3 by 2. Then what about 2 chocolates? We'll do multiplication or division. Everybody?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. So valency of aluminum is 2 into 3 by 2. So that 2 will get cancelled. What is the valency of aluminum? Everybody?
3, sir.
3. So that is what you have to remember. So this is the way we will find what is the valency of aluminum. Now, so in aluminum oxide, what is the valency of aluminum? Everybody? Yes, please. 3. So even when you are writing the chemical formula in third chapter, you might be remember aluminum, Al, oxygen is O. And what is the valency? You have written aluminum is 3, oxygen is 2. So that will follow the method. What is the method name called as? Anybody?
Crisscross.
Crisscross method. Understanding? So we will get Al2O3. So that is what we are saying. So here you can see what is the valence of aluminum? 3. And oxygen is 2. So we can say two aluminum ions reacting with how many oxygen molecules? Oxygen atoms. Everybody? 3
3,
oxygen atoms. That is what you have to remember. Next, let us take, now you tell me, it is sharing and, sorry, it is donating and losing the electrons. So it is ionic compound or covalent compound, aluminum oxide. Yes, please. What is this compound?
Ionic.
It is ionic compound. Please all of you remember. Why it is ionic compound? Any idea? Yes, please. Because aluminum is donating electrons, donating, and oxygen is what? Oxygen is receiving or it is gaining the electrons. Is it okay, everybody? Please respond. All of you.
Yes, sir.
Now that is why, so as we know it is donating or receiving, so we can say it is the ionic compound. Now, let us try next one, next example, so that you will understand. Valency of carbon in methane. What is the methane formula? Anybody?
CH4.
CH4. Remember, methane also we can call it as marsh gas. Marsh gas. Okay, that is what. Now tell me, what is the valency of carbon in the CH4? Anybody? Yes, please.
4, sir.
Yes.
4.
So 4. How means in this molecule, if you'll observe CH4, how many hydrogens? All of you. Yes, please.
4 hydrogen.
4 hydrogen atoms are attached to whom? 4 hydrogen atoms are attached with whom? Attached with how many? 1
1
carbon.
carbon.
Yes or
1
no?
carbon.
1 carbon atom. So that is what we can say, 1 carbon atom. So I can say valency of carbon, which is equal to how much, guys? Valency of carbon is how much?
4,
Yes,
sir.
all of you?
4, sir.
4. Because it can, here, it can share. All of you remember how the carbon atom looks. I will say you. So if you take, this is the carbon. Tell me what is the atomic number of carbon? All of you, I want to know. Carbon atomic number
6, sir.
and electronic configuration. Everybody.
2,
2,4.
2, 8.
2,
2,
4, sir.
understanding 2, 4. So what is the valence cell? Valence cell. Yeah, L
L
cell.
L shape.
So it is having how many
cell.
electrons? It having
4, sir.
4 electrons. As I told you, when it will become stable in nature, valence cell must have how many electrons? When it will have stable in
8
nature, valence electrons must
8
have how
electrons.
many? When it will
8
become
electrons.
8 electrons. So here it is having only 4. So, but remember, 4 cannot donate. Cannot be donated. So always remember, maximum electrons donated by the atom is either 1 or 2 or 3. Understand, Hari? Mitakshri? So
Yes.
maximum electrons donated by the atoms either 1 or 2 or 3. Same way, maximum atoms gained by the atoms. Gained also how many? 1 or 2 or 3. So more than this, they cannot donate or they cannot gain. Is it okay, everybody? Abhirami? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Sanjay, understand Sanjay? Tanishkar. So either they can donate 1 electron or 2 electrons or 3 electrons. Same way, they can gain 1 electron, 2 electron or 3 electron. If it is 4, so neither loss nor gain. The only option is what, guys? The only option is what? All of you. Sharing of electrons. Understanding? So that is what will happen. So if you have taken carbon, carbon is having totally 4 electrons in its valence shell. Okay, I am talking about only valence shell. Of course, inside 2 electrons are there, but only who will involve in the reaction? Only valence electrons. So it will combine with the hydrogen. So we all knows that hydrogen having only how many electrons, Amma? How many electrons? Only 1 electron. So like that, they will come and will form like this. I will draw the structure. Observe. This is the carbon. So here, 1 hydrogen will come and attach. Here 1 hydrogen will come and attach. Here 1 hydrogen will come and attach. Here 1 hydrogen will come and attach. Now, hydrogen, 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 and hydrogen. So what is the valence electrons of carbon? Valence electrons, how many? Everybody, 4. Yes or no? And hydrogen, how many, guys? Hydrogen, how many, Mitakshri? Valence electrons? 1. So that is what it is. Now, carbon will feel, carbon is having 8 electrons, and each hydrogen will feel, hydrogen is having 2 electrons, so that it will become stable in nature. So that is why each carbon can react with maximum how many hydrogens? Everybody?
4
4
hydrogen.
4 hydrogens, so that it will become stable in nature. So this is only we will call CH4, we used to say methane. All of you should remember. So what is the valency of carbon? All of you? Valency of carbon?
4,
Yes,
sir.
4. And what is the valency of hydrogen? Anybody?
1, sir.
1.
sir.
That is how to remember. Clear? So this is what everybody should remember. So this is how, what do you mean by valency? Now, let us make the modern approach to the concept of valency. That is what based upon electronic configuration and as well as a concept called as octave rule. So that is what you should understand now. So that is a modern concept of valency. So make it, everybody. So what is that and all we will study? That is what types of valency. So before going to study types of valency, you should know this one. So please, all of you keep note and write this statement, all of you. One statement I will say, that is what? When the atoms will become stable in nature, when its valency shell having how many electrons, guys?
8 electrons.
8 electrons. And that shell must be what? Other than K shell. Other than K shell means L or M or N or whatever. If it is having a valency cell, then it must have how many electrons to become stable? Everybody?
8
8
electrons.
3 electrons to become stable in nature. That is what you have to remember it. All of you. Make it. So write the statement now. I'll say it. Can I say? Right. The elements have tendency to acquire. The elements have tendency to acquire a stable electronic configuration. A stable electronic configuration. Okay, that means Elements have a tendency. Elements have a tendency. Elements have a tendency to acquire. Elements have a tendency. Sorry, tendency to have, not acquire, to have. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in only one case it will be having 2 electrons. What is that case? Anyone? Only it is having which shell? Yes, please.
K.
K shell. That is what you have to remember. So all right. That means elements have a tendency to have 8 electrons. 8 electrons, or in a few cases. Which cases it is? In a few cases, 2 electrons. 2 electrons, which means having only which cell, guys? Which means
K shell.
K shell, which means they want to complete the duplet rule. Remember, only K shell is there. How many electrons required to become stable? Everybody?
2.
2. So that rule is called as duplet rule. Remember that. Okay. Right. 8 electrons in their valence cell. Valence cell. Valence cell, not valency cell. Valence cell to complete their octet. This rule is only known as what? Everybody. This rule is known as octet rule. Mr. Kaushik, are you writing? Again, shortcuts you are writing. Octet rule. All of you remember. So what do you mean by octet rule? Valence cell must have how many electrons?
8 electrons.
8 electrons. That rule is called as octet rule. If it is having only 2 electrons and only one shell it has, what is that shell name? Everybody?
K
K
shell.
shell.
K shell. Then it is which rule? Mithakshari? Which is duplet rule. Remember, any atom having only one shell, that shell itself is a K shell, and having only 2 electrons, that is satisfying duplet rule. If it is other than K shell, any other shell, it must have how many electrons to become stable in nature? Everybody, it must has. Yes, please. Can you hear me? I think network error. So sorry for that. I think, can you hear me? So if it is having other than K shell to become stable in nature, it must have how many electrons? Everybody? It must has
8 electrons.
8 electrons. That rule is only called as octet rule. Now, these elements to become to satisfying this octet rule, what is the ways to get the electrons? Anybody? To get the octet rule, what are the ways it can be? Anybody? It may be lose the electrons, it may be gain the electrons, or maybe it can be what?
Share the
Share the electrons. That is what it can. Elements can complete their octet. Octet means 8. All of you remember that. Octet by gaining. Gokul, understanding Gokul? By gaining.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Losing or sharing of electrons. By gaining, losing, or sharing of electrons. Is it okay, everybody? Yes, please.
Yes,
All of you?
sir.
That is what. So, okay. Now, all of you remember here, based upon gaining and losing, and as well as sharing. We will make the valency into two types. That is what we are going to study now. So all of you keep reading. Once it is completed, write types of valency. Very, very important. This is the main thing you have to remember that. So what we are going to see now? Types of valency. So this valency is based upon gaining or losing. And second one is what? By sharing of electrons. Okay. So valency is of two types. One is based upon the loss or gain. And second one is sharing. So loss or gain we used to call it as electrovalency. Okay. And by gain sharing the electrons, we used to call it as covalency. Have you heard these words before? Anybody? Mr. Noor, Sanjay Ganan? Yes, please. Electrovalency means either gaining or we can say lost by the atoms. Covalency means only one thing. What is that? Everybody?
Sharing.
Sharing of electrons. That is what you have to remember. So please write. Now, this also. This electrovalency, again two types. That is what we can say. Not covalency, only electrovalency. If it is lost the electrons, all of you remember, lost electrons, then it will turn into, we used to call it as positive electrovalency. What we used to call, everybody? Positive electrovalency, because by losing the electrons, atom turns into positive or negative. Everybody? By loss of
Positive.
electrons, it will turns into positive. Same way, by gaining of electrons or by receiving of electrons, it will turns into negative or positive. Everybody? Negative. So that is what we can say. It is negative electrovalency. Is it clear? All of you? Danishkar, Arun, Shruti, Nimish?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So please make it. Now we will go with the first one. That is called as electrovalency. So write first. Clear, completed? Write it and we'll go with the first next keep definition. That is electrovalency. So what do you mean by electrovalency? Either gaining the electrons or what?
Losing.
Losing the electrons. Right. The number of electrons, gained or lost by an element in order to obtain. What is the purpose, guys? Why they are gaining or losing? Only one reason. What is the reason?
To become stable, sir.
To become stable in nature. So if they want to become stable in nature, they have to satisfy one rule. What is that rule?
Octet rule.
Octet rule. Or if only K shell, they have to satisfy which rule? Which one?
Duplet rule.
Duplet rule. That is what? Mr. Sanjay, Mr. Kaushik, are you there in meeting? Or else are you sleeping? That is what. So the number of electrons gained or lost by an element in order to complete its octet rule. Octet is known as its electrovalency. Clear? Now, all of you remember. Now, by loss of electrons or by gain of electrons, atoms turns into what? Atoms, keep it in mind, by loss of electrons or by gain of electrons. Lost or by gain, atoms turns into ions. Atoms turns into what? Everybody? Ions. Now, atom will lose the electron. It will turns into positive ion. So that positive ion only we used to say cation. What we used to call? Everyone?
Cation.
Same way, if atom will gains the electrons. Mr. Kaushik, if you are not communicating, you can leave from the meeting. No issues. Atom, if it gains electrons, or we will say receives electron. So we can say gains or receives. Then we can say it is negative ion. Negative ion, which we used to call anion. Please make it. So cations are formed by loss of electrons and anions are formed by what? Yes, please. Anions are formed
Gain.
by
Gain of
gain
electrons.
of electrons. That is what you have to remember.
Gain of electrons.
The electrovalency in cations, we used to call positive electrovalency or negative electrovalency. Cations. Yes, please. The
Positive.
electrovalency in cations, we used to call positive or negative. Everybody.
Positive, sir.
Yeah, positive. Positive electrovalency. Same way, if it is in case of anions, what will happen? Yes, everyone.
Negative electrovalence.
Electrovalency in anions is called negative electrovalency. Write it. Are you writing the notes, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Nimish,
Yes, sir.